Hey, what's up, YouTube world? It is your girl here, the Venusian Bull, and I am back with another video for the Planets in the Houses series. And in this video, we are going to be discussing Saturn in the fifth house. All right, so as a recap, the fifth house deals with dating, gambling, games in general, creativity, children, casual sex, expressing oneself, inspiration, sports, entertainment, entertainer, celebrity, admiration, compliments, and the eternal child. Okay, so when you're talking about Saturn in the fifth house, and I've been pretty happy and excited thus far, talking about the fifth house, and it's very fun and exuberant. But any place that you have Saturn in your chart, I apologize for being a Debbie Downer in the beginning, is always a place that is full of karma, and it's full of places where things are lacking, and where there's life lessons that need to be learned. So wherever Saturn is in your chart, it's not really fun. Even as fun as the fifth house is, Saturn in the fifth is kind of like taking the fun away. So it kind of sucks. Like that is not the planet you want to have in your fifth house. It just deteriorates that fun and that exuberance and that vitality type of feeling. It's basically everything that I'm talking about in terms of the dating and the children and the creativity. It's like a lot of these are suppressed. Like your creativity and self-expression could be suppressed, or lacking. You know what I'm saying? And it could be because of an authority figure. Saturn has to deal with usually like your elders, if we're talking about like somebody in your family, like grandparents, but like the strict grandparents. Like Jupiter is like the fun loving grandpa, and Saturn is like the strict old grandpa that never lets you do anything, that type of thing. And authority figures. So you may have had a lot of authority figures kind of deprive you of your creativity and your self-expression, and you probably have a lot of talents and things that you want to get out, but these things were suppressed. So as you become older, you kind of still live with that type of stuff. Like, I can't express myself because it's going to have a negative reaction, negative connotation or something like that. This is somebody who, although um, it can be a very kind of depressing placement, this is a very disciplined placement. So in terms of creativity or just like sports and athletics, or like like working out and things like that, you could be very disciplined in that, and very good. But you could maybe take it too far. Like when it comes to having the perfect body, you could deprive yourself of eating. This could be like eating disorder. So you could maybe go a little bit too far. You could maybe go the steroid route for drugs, because you just want to be the best. You want to prove everybody wrong that you can be the best person, because fifth house is all about being the best. So understand that. When it comes to children, oh, okay. So, like I mentioned before, if you are like a child with this placement, you could have been deprived of your self-expression, and there's nothing worse than a child not being able to express themselves, because that's what they're supposed to be able to do. They're supposed to be able to run around and sing and jump and climb and paint and do stuff and just be free loving. But when you have Saturn in the fifth house, you kind of lose that eternal child a little bit that you need. You know what I'm saying? With that fifth house energy, and as an adult, like if you have children, like you are the adult and you have this placement Saturn in the fifth, you can be very strict with your kids. You can deprive them of things, and it can be because you were deprived of stuff. You could be very much a disciplinarian, spanking your kids, not letting them go outside and play or have their video games or whatever the case may be. And they could potentially like resent you from that. And I don't like to get into the real like dark territory and stuff like that, but if you're a woman with Saturn in the fifth house and you want to conceive and you want to have children, it may be very difficult for you to have children. And you may really, really want to have children, but it may be very difficult for you, and you may try all of these avenues and in vitro fertilization. You may, try to freeze your eggs, and then that doesn't have, I would recommend freezing your eggs, actually. That's probably the best bet if you have Saturn in the fifth. There could be something that happens, miscarriages, like stillbirths and stuff like that when it comes to children. It could also be that you don't want to have children for fear of these types of things happening. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that's also kind of something to think about, and that has to deal with your karma from like a past life. Remember, Saturn always deals with karma and lessons that need to be learned. So you need to maybe learn a lesson that you're maybe not supposed to have children in this lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you were not really meant to be that star and that entertainer or something like that. You need to focus on other things, like more realistic things. It gives you that kind of indication, like especially if you got like Saturn in Leo in the fifth. Like that's really gonna, it's just gonna put a damper on this on this fun loving kind of energy. You can be viewed as a pessimist, when you're dating, and things like that. And when it comes to competitive nature, you're definitely very competitive, but you're always like a sore loser, like, and a lot worse than a moon in the fifth house, because you could really like get angry and just really be like, you know fuck life, fuck this shit, I don't want to do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like Saturn energy can really go into like this really strong depressed state, even in an exuberant house like the fifth house. Um, so you like seek to find inspiration. Now this doesn't mean that if you have Saturn in the fifth that you're not capable of having fun and being fun and having a good time. It just means that the themes associated with the fifth house are going to be a little bit harder, for you to overcome. But you need to use that energy, like whatever the sign is, and focus on that. So if your Saturn is in Leo, because I already did that example, like I said before, that doesn't mean that you're not creative and that you don't have the ability to be creative and create things from scratch, because you could actually be very naturally born craftsman, or just creative in music, or athletics, or just what have you, making things. But it's about not focusing your life on doing that and like using that as a way to make money. It's more like that should be like a hobby or something like that, versus that being your avenue for a career. You know what I'm saying? Or if you have Saturn in Cancer, that's another placement where in the fifth house where it's going to be difficult for you to have kids, because Cancer is all about the nurturing motherly nature. But as a woman, you may have a difficulty with being able to conceive. You may have complications. You may be able to have that child, but have a long-term complications after that, maybe like gestational diabetes. That's usually during the pregnancy, but maybe you have like extreme postpartum or something like that. And if you're a man with that placement, you may be the one with the issue, not being able to give a child to your partner and stuff like that. So just make sure you understand that. Just try not to put so much focus on that in terms of it fulfilling you. You have to learn lessons. You have to learn, I can be fulfilled without children. I can be fulfilled in life without being a celebrity or being famous. And you really gotta have take a slice of humble pie when it comes to those compliments. You're gonna want them. You're gonna like need them to be able to grow. Like Saturn energy has to be self-sufficient. Like they have to. They have no choice because they go through so much. So that compliment that you're fishing for with the Saturn in the fifth house, that's not gonna come like it does for the other Saturn placements. So you have to create your own inspiration and your own motivation. It's kind of like all about creating something out of nothing. So this type of placement can really make a really strong-willed, disciplined person if you really put your mind to it, or it can really like make a very like depressed person, because everything that they try to do that's of any type of fun or what they think is fun, it just comes right back at them and, just hits them hard. So just be mindful that it's going to be difficult for you to be able to express yourself, creatively express yourself. So find outlets where you're not like going to be being judged as much, or you're not going to be it's not going to be up on display and stuff like that. If you want to write, just do it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you want to sing, just do it for yourself. Don't necessarily try to do it for recognition, because you may not get the recognition that you want. And Saturn is all about recognition, and legacy and things like that. But you got to learn the lessons. You got to learn the life lessons, okay? So I just felt like I was preaching a little bit there. So, you got to work with that Saturn in the fifth house, or else it's going to do the work for you, okay? All right. So thank you so much for listening. Remember to put your feedback and comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.